All right, let's jump right in. We've got a lot to cover for Thursday, August 28th. I mean, it's been a massive day for global news, stretching all the way from the front lines in Europe to these huge military parades in Asia. So let's get straight to it.
And we're going to start with just one number, 21. That's not just a statistic. That's the number of people killed in a huge Russian assault on Kyiv just this morning. And look, this was not some random strike. We're talking about a massive barrage of missiles and drones aimed right at the heart of the city. They hit civilian areas, and this is a big deal. They also hit diplomatic sites. I mean, 4 of the 21 people killed were children. The British Council, EU offices, they were damaged. This was a direct, very symbolic attack.
So you can imagine, the backlash from the international community was swift and, really united. The UK and the EU immediately called in Russian diplomats, basically demanding answers. At the same time, President Zelensky is calling for even tougher sanctions. And then, and this is a huge move, the EU promised to take those frozen Russian assets and use them to pay for Ukraine's defense. That is a crystal clear message.
But the reaction wasn't just political or diplomatic, and this is what's so fascinating. Over in Germany, the defense company Rheinmetall just opened Europe's biggest ammunition factory. And no, that timing is not a coincidence. This is a very real, very physical sign that NATO and the EU are serious about ramping up their military production. We're moving past just words and into large-scale industrial action.
So while Ukraine is dealing with all of this from the outside, the war is also forcing some incredibly tough decisions on the inside. Kyiv just announced a really big change to its travel rules, specifically for young men.
Okay, so here's the deal. Ever since the full-scale invasion kicked off in 2022, pretty much all men between 18 and 60 couldn't leave the country. That was the rule. Well, starting tomorrow, August 29th, that's changing. Now men between 18 and 22 can leave, no strings attached. I mean, that is a huge shift from a policy that's been in place for years.
So, the big question is, why now? Well, it's this incredibly delicate balancing act for the government. On one side, they want to give their youngest generation a chance at education and jobs abroad. But on the other side, you've got these really serious worries. I mean, what does this do to your military numbers, to your overall readiness? This is a huge debate happening inside Ukraine as we speak.
Okay, let's pivot now. We're going to shift gears from Europe all the way over to Asia, because something very, very different is going on there. There's a huge military parade in Beijing, and it's sending a signal about a new global alignment that, you can bet, has leaders in the West watching very, very closely.
And you just have to look at who showed up to understand what's happening. You've got China's Xi Jinping, Russia's Vladimir Putin, and North Korea's Kim Jong-un, all there for China's Victory Day parade. For Kim Jong-un, this is the first time he's met with world leaders like this since 2019. So yeah, this is way more than just a parade. It's a statement.
And really, observers are calling it exactly what it looks like, a conspicuous show of unity. There's nothing subtle about it. These 3 leaders are putting their growing military and political relationship on full display for the entire world to see.
So why does this matter so much? Because what we're seeing is a powerful visual confirmation of a new geopolitical bloc taking shape, a bloc that is openly challenging the West. And that is forcing leaders in the US and Europe to completely rethink their strategy. It's no surprise that many of them are making a point of not being there.
All right, for our last story today, we're doing a complete 180. We're leaving geopolitics behind and diving into a huge cultural story coming out of South Korea. It involves PSY, the guy behind the massive hit Gangnam Style. He's found himself right in the middle of a major investigation over prescription drugs.
So let's break it down. On one side, the accusation is that PSY got prescriptions for drugs like Xanax and Stilnox illegally, without actually seeing a doctor in person, which is required. The authorities are taking this seriously. They've even raided the hospital that gave him the prescriptions. Now, on the other side, his agency, P Nation, is defending him. They're saying the treatment was all above board, medically supervised for a sleep disorder. But they did admit that having someone else pick up the drugs for him was a mistake.
And this whole thing has blown up into something much bigger than just a celebrity scandal. It's kicked off a huge national debate in South Korea about some really important stuff: medical ethics, how prescription drugs are handled, and the big one, do celebrities get special treatment? It really gets at these deeper questions about fairness and who is held accountable.
So when you step back and look at the day, a deadly attack in Kyiv, a nation at war changing its rules, a new power bloc making a statement in Beijing, and even a pop star scandal that asks big questions about fairness,
It's just so clear how much is changing all at once. And it all kind of leads to one final thought, right? In a world like this, with alliances shifting and conflicts heating up, what's the one story that's going to define our tomorrow?